Hey guys, thank you for joining me, Sadaf, on my blog, beingsadaf.com. Today we are discussing an extremely important topic, domestic abuse on the rise during this time of COVID. Joining us is Chau Nguyen from the Houston Area Women's Center. She serves as a chief public strategist. Since 1977, the Women's Center has supported victims of domestic and sexual abuse. Chau, let's get right into it. And I want to know, can you tell us why we are seeing an increase in domestic violence?
Yeah, Sadaf, thank you so much for having me on your blog to share this mission and message with those who are listening and watching. We are seeing an uptick in calls to our domestic violence hotline since the start or the outbreak of this pandemic. And we really look at March 13th. That's when things started shutting down in our city. We've been tracking it ever since. So typically around this time last year, that's kind of our marker, we average around 40 to 50 calls to our domestic violence hotline a day. Right now, we're seeing upwards of 80 to 90. The other day, we had 107 calls. That means that survivors are calling in. Yeah, they're calling in and they're seeking housing, safe refuge, support. Typically, about half of all calls are women seeking a place to stay. Right now, we're looking about 60 to 80% of all calls. So yeah, things are very severe in the wake of this pandemic.
So, I mean, obviously it's because everyone's stuck at home and, you know, what more can you tell us? Like what happens when somebody calls in during this time? How are you
the
guys
pandemic is,
you know, it's COVID, you know, like everyone's supposed to socially distance. So how do you guys deal with this?
Well, isn't it ironic? The stay-at-home orders are meant to keep survivors safe, right? Or survivors, keep the community safe. But what the stay-at-home orders do is it causes further isolation and danger among many survivors. So what we're seeing is survivors who are calling in now being in isolation with their abuser more so than ever. Kids are home. There are stressors like financial constraints. People aren't working. You know, it's funny, just this morning, Sadaf, I got a call from a girlfriend of mine of a woman and her 4 children escaping abuse in a parking lot. And
oh my God,
it happens all the time, unfortunately. And Chau, what can I do to help? And I say, call our hotlines because that's the gateway to getting resources, whether it be housing, emergency housing, counseling. I can tell you just personally, people reach out to me because I know, you know, they may see me on Facebook or they're a friend of a friend, and we're always happy to offer that support. What we have said since the start of this pandemic is our phone lines never went silent. Our services were still available. We had to pivot just like a lot of people in our community, a lot of businesses and nonprofits virtually. It was always on our plan to offer mobile advocacy, but now we're offering it. We shifted that from, say, a 3-year plan, strategic plan, to really a matter of 10 days. So I'm really proud of our staff. We've really taken a bold move and said, you know, we've got to be there for survivors. And the other thing is we offer something called a Safe Harbor Hotel Emergency Program. It's not something we offer loosely under
of course not.
That is when a woman, we have a 120-bed shelter, and then we had to, you know, make room for social distancing to follow CDC procedures and guidelines for safety, right? So we went from 120 to 100 and now to 80. We took 100 clients, 20 clients, and we shifted 20 to 25. We shifted them to hotels. So we're essentially
very extreme cases.
Yeah, they're extreme lethality. So the lethality is high. So they're staying in hotels. I just met with a client yesterday. She was lovely. So we're doing all the things we can to ensure that survivors are safe, because what we saw after Hurricane Harvey is unacceptable. There was a 45% spike in homicides, interpersonal domestic violence homicides among women the year after Harvey, and that is not an acceptable number. And so to really get ahead of this situation, which is another crisis, what we know is in times of crisis, violence spikes. We're seeing that. Houston police are seeing that as well. Calls are up in our hotlines. Family violence calls are up. So we've got to get in front of this and let survivors know that help is still available. So that's
so can you tell us the hotline number right now? Well,
sure. It's hawc.org. That's our website. And we are just launching our chat option. We're testing it out right now. The last couple of days, we've been testing it out. And then our hotline is always available, 713-528-2121. 24/7.
So what is it?
713
713
528
528
2121.
2121, guys. It's 713-528-2121. If you know of anyone experiencing domestic violence or sexual abuse, that is the hotline. And I wanted to know, Chau, like, how long do you guys keep them, and what are the next steps?
Yeah, so what I'm walking through sort of the continuum of care, as we call it. The hotline is the gateway to access all of our resources, whether it be the shelter, the hotel stay, counseling. We had a survivor call a friend of mine, and she's staying with a family member, and she really needed counseling. So if you call that hotline and you need support, or you need housing, or, you know, a safe refuge, then that's where we can sort of navigate the breadth of services we offer. Let's say a survivor comes to our shelter. At our shelter, even at our Safe Harbor Hotel program, that survivor will have access to case management and resources, and begin that healing journey if she chooses, right? Or he chooses. We had a survivor who is a male who came to our Safe Harbor program. And that average stay, what we see is about 47 to 51 days. That's the average stay of a survivor at our shelter. That allows you time to sort of get stabilized, right? When I say stabilized, go to case management, talk to our psychotherapist, begin figuring out what the housing, and if you're looking for a job, or if you have a job, to manage all those things. And then from there, we do have a housing program, which is like a 2-year rental assistance program. And then our counseling support, right now it's virtual support groups, and individual counseling is offered to all survivors, no matter when the abuse took place. You know, I've talked to survivors where, you know, it's been 20 years and they drive by something and something triggers that.
Oh, wow. I know. I'm sure. I can't imagine. That's just terrible.
So that's,
I mean, that's so commendable that you guys are still doing this. What would you say the percentage? Obviously, it's basically doubled right now.
Yeah.
The amount.
About 40% spike in calls. And in terms of our services, you know, we've shifted pretty quickly, and our counselors and our advocates, and even in my public strategies department, we're busy since the COVID outbreak. And I'm so grateful for the media, because I've been on the other side of the media, for sharing this story, to let survivors know that help is still available. I'm really proud of our mayor, our city leader, city council member, Abby came in, and the mayor stepped up, and the mayor's human trafficking office, and the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. That means that our partner agencies, our sister agencies who are in this movement with us, stepped up all together and said, we've got to do more. So we launched a No COVID Abuse campaign. That's a hashtag, and it's also a website, nocovidabuse.org campaign, where
That's amazing.
Yeah, if you go in, you're going to get all the information you need. How do you manage if you're home with an abuser? What are your resources? We've got a webinar. We've got, you know, a PowerPoint that talks about how you respond as a friend, how you respond as a family member. And then
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah. The Houston Dash came in and did videos for us. So the mayor launched a 3-week social media campaign recently, and that campaign's going to continue. As long as survivors are out there and we're witnessing what we're witnessing, we're going to get the message out that help is still available, that you're not alone, and most importantly, it's not your fault, because that's what we hear from survivors. Maybe I should have done something different. Maybe I could have behaved, you know, and
yeah, that's just a typical abusive pattern, right? To always blame yourself and not your abuser.
Yeah. And
I was going to ask you,
unprogram that taping.
So you guys help them throughout the entire process. It's not just rescuing them. You're basically giving them therapy and everything that they need to, I guess, cope with what they're going through. I also want to know,
empowering them to know that there is worth in there. You just got to take that power back and own your worth.
I feel like a lot of people, especially even, I would say, like, not even like just our Asian, South Asian society, just in general, everyone is scared. You know, they want their name to be confidential, and they're afraid to reach out to these agencies because they're like, oh no, what if I get back together with my husband or my wife, and then everyone's going to know my business? How do you guys keep it completely confidential without anyone knowing. I mean, I have no idea about anything or anyone that's part of your program, which is so amazing. And that's what I want people to know, that it can be confidential and they can reach out to you.
All services are free, confidential. Our shelter is in an undisclosed location. We maintain privacy because it's sacred, right? When somebody shares with somebody else, whether it be to an organization, a counselor, or to a friend, that's establishing trust. When somebody divulges that I'm a victim of abuse, we should hold that sacred. One of the things that we encourage is we raise awareness and educate people on how they can recognize, respond, and refer. That we call the 3 R's. A lot of times, and you've got girlfriends, I've got girlfriends. How many times have we heard a friend who's in a not healthy relationship and we say, hey, you should just leave him. I can't believe he did that to you. How awful. What a terrible person. And guess what happens? They go back and then you're just stuck going, That's not supportive to survivors. What we say is listen without judgment. Use language that's encouraging. I'm so sorry this happened to you. You don't deserve this. That's kind of recognizing and responding, and then referring, saying, you know what? I think there's help available. Let me give you this hotline number or this website. That's how we respond, because what we know, Sadaf, is it takes 7 to 8 times. That's the average number of times it takes for somebody to leave.
Absolutely. I've heard that many times, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because you're right. As girlfriends or as friends, we're always like, oh my God, what a jerk, just leave him. And then that person doesn't want to hear that, but you need to listen and you need to be there. And I think that's really good that you just brought that up. And that's a great way how we can help people. But I wanted to ask you, like, since we're doing social distancing, we're not seeing our friends. We don't know what's going on with each other. I just wanted to bring this out because I want to bring attention to this. So whoever is sitting at home and going through something very violent right now in their lives, you are not alone. There is help out there. You can reach out to Chau even, and she will help you. And
right, yeah, absolutely. So I think, I think when we know that we have friends or family members who are in unhealthy situations, from unhealthy to abusive, check on them, right? Just call and check and see how they're doing. If you know they're in an abusive situation, one of the things we've recommended is have a code word. If they're really in a dangerous situation and they can share with you a code word and you're on the phone with them, then you can call for help, right?
Yes.
And those simple things could really save a life. So the other thing is, the other sort of awareness piece is, just because you leave, that doesn't equate that you're going to be safe. In fact, when you leave, it's the most dangerous time. That's when the lethality is like, out of the roof, and you may die. Because when you leave, then
I think that is the greatest fear.
Oh my gosh, leaving does not equate safety. It is the most dangerous time. When you hear on the news, and that hasn't changed. I've been out of news for a dozen years. It's funny, I watch the news and I'm like, it's the same stuff. It's domestic violence. Some woman got shot. I mean, it's just like, we have barely scratched the surface when it comes to ending violence. And we've just got to do better as a community, because it's not just, here's the 100%. Thing. Here's the thing. It's a private matter, but it is not personal. It becomes everybody's business. Let me give you an example. If 2 people are in an abusive relationship, then their children are witnesses, right? Your friends are listening to it. They're traumatized. Police, first responders are coming to you. They're, witnessing the aftermath of abuse. Hospital systems are affected. School systems are affected. Entire communities are devastated by that cycle of violence. It is not a private matter. It is a very public issue.
So I feel that victims these days don't come out because they have children. There's a certain fear of leaving their children or the custody. And like you said, they don't want their names to be exposed. And it's very dangerous when they actually do make that move. They have to be very smart about it. So what advice would you give people that have children? Like, how should they go about everything?
Well, I will tell you, the barriers to leaving are money and kids. And by that, I mean, if you're a woman and you're not working and you're being isolated by an abuser, maybe your partner, and then you have kids, you think, how am I going to start over? How am I going to raise my kids? What if he uses the kids against me? We hear this time and again, you know, and it is scary. I mean, financial abuse, using the kids as a weapon, those are things we hear 95% of the time. Financial, we try to, as an agency, you know, you can start over. It takes a lot of courage to come to a shelter and say, you know what, I can start my life over. But I will tell you, Sadaf, I see those stories of transformation. I believe in a woman's worth. I know that there is something in them and they can take their power back. But at the end of the day, it's their choice. You can't tell somebody else what to do.
Of course.
What we do is we arm them with tools. Here's some safety planning if you decide to leave. So there's an assessment. And the safety plan is really, do you have your keys with you? Is your phone charged? Do you know where your paperwork is? Do you have a bag that you packed and sent to a friend? Do you have that code word that you said to a family member or your child? If you escape, are you going into the nearest exit? If you're in an argument, are you going to the kitchen or the bathroom? Because those areas are very dangerous. Kitchen equipment can be weaponized, guns, knives. If you're in a bathroom, you're kind of stuck. We've heard those stories. So those are things that on a safety plan, our advocates on the hotline or our counselors in counseling and advocacy can help you navigate. Have a safety plan in place. Know that if you're leaving, that you're prepared.
Like you had mentioned, like a lot of these victims don't have financial support. So are your services free?
Free, confidential. There's a lot of support out there. And that's why, you know, as an agency, there have been times, I serve on the leadership team, that we think, hey, should we charge for our services? And we always go back to a resounding no, because a lot of our clients are in situations where they're not financially empowered, that they have to start over. And so
how do you guys get funding?
Yeah, I know, right? Our support, we're very lucky. We have a very engaged community. We have great donations. We have what I call sort of we have a diverse funding source. So some government funding, some foundations, corporations, and then individuals, people who believe in the movement to end violence are supporting us, right? We've seen a lot of support during this time. And so very fortunate to be able to continue to do the work and not doing the work alone. The city, the county, law enforcement, DA's office, other partners, media. I mean, we're all in this.
No, I mean, I think it's amazing. And this is why I really wanted to connect with you. I had heard so much about you, and we've met before, guys. But Chau and I have gotten to become best friends over phone and during this time. So she's an awesome person. And I feel like this is such an rated thing that people don't pay attention to right now. Everyone's so worried about like, oh, I'm going to get COVID and whatnot. And if I talk to my friends, reach out to your friends.
Yeah.
Make sure they're okay. And, you know, the number is 713-528-2121. Chau is there for you. And it's the Houston area Women's Center. That is the place. And right now it's like, for us as like Muslims, it's the month of Ramadan, and we give a lot to charities, and please donate to this amazing charity. This is amazing. This is a great organization. It is helping so many victims. It's not just women, it's men and it's children. I just wish there was a way, Chau, we could let people know they're not alone.
Yeah, we just keep sharing that message. You know, we've got the nocovidabuse.org website. So that's out there. That campaign is ongoing. We're just going to keep that campaign until things settle. But that, I will tell you right now, you know, I think we're kind of still at the cusp of the stressors of the fallout of this pandemic. But we got to protect our sisters. We do.
Do you think is it going to get worse? Or I spoke to you the other day and you said 80 to 100, and today you told me 107. So I just feel like,
that's our spike of calls. And we just initiated that chat option. So that's a nice option to have. To get support. Not every survivor who calls is looking for housing. Maybe they just need a friend to talk to, so that our advocates are there for them too. Gosh, I hope not. You know, that's why you and I spend a Saturday afternoon on this call, because I think this is so important that I will stop everything to share this message time and again. And you know, I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful that our leadership and I will tell you, the heroes of this time for us at the organization are the shelter staff, the advocates, the counselors that are still still doing the work that they're doing. They're our heroes, and I thank them every day.
No, I really admire what you're doing, and I'm so happy that you took time out on your Saturday afternoon. I know you're busy with your kids, but yes, this is something that's like very dear to my heart, and I believe, like, you know, in women empowerment, women need to know that they can go out there, even men, you know, I mean, you don't know who's going through the abuse, children, men, women, everyone, you know, we just want to help you guys out. And thank you, Chau, for like joining us today.
I am so grateful. I cannot wait till we can congregate and, you know, raise our glasses and celebrate. Hopefully we'll temper some of the violence that we're seeing out there, and that women and children and men know that support is out there and that they'll continue reaching out. The other thing is, if your bloggers are reading or listening, they can go to our website and sign up for our emails. It'll give you access to, you know, how you stay engaged, volunteer opportunities. We've got a big Believe luncheon in October. Hopefully we'll still have that luncheon. We've got Lorena Gallo, who is Lorena, formerly Bobbitt, as our featured speaker. I know people have such a reaction, but I will tell you, having,
of course, like I started laughing, but yes.
Yeah, but it was because
she
was the butt of so many jokes, right, in the 90s.
Of course,
she's also a survivor. She's an advocate, and she is a fierce, leading vocal voice. You know, Amazon, Jordan Peele did a docuseries about her life, in her words and her side of the story, which we didn't hear back in the 90s. I was very young in news back then, so I still remember this. So that's a way to get engaged. That's for your bloggers and viewers and listeners.
Of course, absolutely.
Go to the website, sign up for our email, reach out to me, reach out to anybody at our agency. We'd love to keep connected.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chau. And all the information will be on beingsadaf.com. The number, the website, the link to Chau, the Instagram handles and Facebook handles. So that way they can get in touch if they need you. Thank you so much again. And I hope this was very helpful and resourceful to all of you.
All right. See you later.
All right. Take care. Thanks. Chau. Bye.